Welcome to a battlefield of minds. Two grandmasters face off where every move cuts like a sword. One mistake, and it's over. This isn't just chess. It's war disguised as strategy. Let's dive in, move by move, into this epic clash. Ilya thrusts the d-pawn forward, seizing central space like planting a battle flag in open ground. Wesley responds with knight to f6, a flexible defender, eyeing the center and preparing dark square resistance. Ilya pushes the c-pawn, building a proud pawn duo and challenging Wesley's grip immediately. Wesley fianchettos with g6, signaling a Kingside fortress and long diagonal pressure brewing. Ilya develops knight to f3, reinforcing d4 and keeping central tension alive. Wesley completes the fianchetto with bishop to g7. The dragon awakens along the long diagonal. Ilya mirrors with g3, preparing his own bishop and securing the king's future shelter. Wesley strikes with c5, undermining d4 and demanding immediate clarification in the center. Ilya calmly develops bishop to g2, eyeing the long diagonal and trusting his structure. Wesley captures on d4, ripping open the center and testing Ilya's coordination early. Ilya recaptures with the knight, centralizing powerfully and refusing structural damage. Wesley castles kingside, king safe, and rook, poised for central influence. Ilya castles as well, completing development rhythm and preparing middle-game fireworks. Wesley brings knight to chicks, increasing pressure on d4 and sharpening tactical motifs. Ilya develops knight to c3, reinforcing d5 ideas and guarding central squares firmly. Wesley swings queen to f5, pinning c3 and injecting immediate queenside tension. Ilya retreats knight to b3, blocking the pin and eyeing queenside outposts. Wesley boldly shifts queen to h5, provoking weaknesses and sniffing kingside chances. Ilya advances pawn to c5, gaining space and chasing structural initiative. Wesley pushes f5, clamping down on queenside expansion and targeting b4 ideas. Ilya reroutes knight to f4, attacking c5 squares and eyeing b6 invasions. Wesley strikes with d6, reinforcing the center and preparing piece activity. Ilya jumps knight to b6, a daring outpost hitting rook and destabilizing coordination. Wesley lifts rook to a6, an active defense guarding cheeks and counterattacking. Ilya captures on sate with the knight, eliminating a key defender in bold fashion. Wesley recaptures with rook to sate, restoring material balance and activating heavy artillery. Ilya captures d6 pawn, opening lines and testing Wesley's central resilience. Wesley recaptures with e-pawn, solidifying the center and freeing dark-squared bishop. Ilya pushes a4, grabbing space and preventing further queenside expansion. Wesley repositions rook to b6, targeting b2 and preparing lateral pressure. Ilya plays h3, denying back rank tricks and stopping any bishop or knight jumps. Wesley centralizes queen to a5, eyeing both flanks with cold calculation. Ilya develops bishop to e3, connecting rooks and challenging Wesley's queen. Wesley slides rook back to a6, maintaining flexibility and guarding 6th rank. Ilya doubles rooks with Racon, building central power for upcoming clashes. Wesley shifts rook to a8, regrouping heavy pieces for coordinated defense. Ilya lifts rook to c2, reinforcing the 2nd rank and preparing pressure on c-file. Wesley advances d5, striking the center and demanding concrete answers immediately. Ilya brings bishop to file, targeting 7 and increasing central tension. Wesley retreats queen to a7, keeping material intact and supporting the center. Ilya places rook on c5, penetrating deeply and eyeing tactical shots. Wesley jumps knight to b4, counterattacking c2 and unsettling Ilya's structure. Ilya sacrifices rook on r5, eliminating the rook and igniting tactical chaos. Wesley recaptures with rook from a6 to r5, accepting the sacrifice calmly. Ilya's knight captures on a5, regaining material and centralizing aggressively. Wesley invades with rook to c2, penetrating 2nd rank with venomous intent. Ilya calmly plays bishop to d2, covering weaknesses and coordinating defense. Wesley retreats rook to 7, preserving activity and guarding 7th rank. Ilya improves bishop to c3, reinforcing diagonals and guarding key squares. Wesley jumps knight to a2, a shocking infiltration targeting Koan and b4 squares. Ilya captures on f6 with bishop, removing a defender and exposing Wesley's king. Wesley recaptures with bishop, maintaining balance and guarding dark squares. Ilya's queen snatches pawn on d5, centralizing and increasing pressure. Wesley leaps knight to Koan, a tactical bomb threatening forks and discoveries. Ilya's knight captures on b7, grabbing material and attacking rook coordination. Wesley strikes with knight to f2 check, forcing king movement and seizing initiative. Ilya moves king to horn, stepping aside but feeling mounting pressure. Wesley's bishop captures on b2, removing a defender and opening lines brutally. Ilya advances pawn to a5, pushing past pawn dreams forward. Wesley repositions bishop to d4, centralizing with tempo and eyeing weaknesses. Ilya advances pawn to a6, creating a dangerous passed pawn near promotion. Wesley brings rook to d7, blockading the pawn and activating defense. Ilya centralizes queen to c4, supporting the passer and guarding diagonals. Wesley shifts rook to 7, doubling control over the c-file. Ilya repositions queen to d3, guarding key squares and eyeing counterplay. Wesley slides rook to c3, invading aggressively and targeting g3 pawn. Ilya retreats queen to d2, consolidating and protecting vulnerable points. Wesley's rook captures on g3, ripping open kingside defenses dramatically. Ilya recaptures with f-pawn, opening the f-file but weakening king shelter. Wesley's knight jumps to g3 check, a fierce fork threat intensifying chaos. Ilya steps king to h2, seeking shelter amid tactical crossfire. Wesley centralizes queen to a5, coordinating threats with deadly precision. Ilya lifts rook to fower, counterattacking and guarding key entry squares. Wesley repositions, knight to e2, maintaining forks and pressure relentlessly. Ilya captures knight on e2 with queen, eliminating a monster attacker. Wesley immediately recaptures with queen, keeping initiative alive and queens active. Ilya plays rook to e4, interposing and seeking simplification. Wesley checks with bishop to f5, forcing king into further exposure. Ilya moves king to gon, edging towards safety but still hunted. Wesley checks with queen to done, driving the king deeper into discomfort. Ilya blocks with bishop to f1, desperately covering vital squares. Wesley fires bishop to d4 check, relentless pressure crashing forward. Ilya steps king to g2, fleeing checks yet coordination crumbles. Wesley calmly retreats bishop to a7, maintaining diagonal dominance. Ilya repositions bishop to e2, shielding key squares and hoping stability returns. Wesley centralizes queen to d5, reasserting dominance and eyeing fresh checks. Ilya brings bishop to f3, defending and covering critical diagonals. Wesley checks with queen to d2, forcing passive responses again. Ilya retreats bishop to e2, clinging to defensive formation. Wesley improves king to g7, stepping out of tactics and preparing final assault. Ilya thrusts pawn to h4, a desperate kingside spark hoping to distract Wesley's relentless attacking machinery. Wesley calmly invades with queen to cone, penetrating the back rank and tightening control over every escape square. Ilya jumps knight to d6, creating counter-threats, but his king remains dangerously exposed. Wesley fires queen to gon check, dragging Ilya's king further into the open battlefield. Ilya steps to h3, walking into the storm as checks continue without mercy. Wesley snaps queen to hone check, slicing through the dark squares with chilling precision. Ilya moves king to g3, completely exposed and hunted in the center of chaos. Wesley repositions bishop to bait, sealing key diagonals and removing any last shelter. Ilya brings rook to d4, a final attempt at counterplay while under suffocating pressure. Wesley delivers queen to gon check again, and Ilya resigns immediately, facing unstoppable perpetual assault and decisive material collapse, 0-1. The video ends here. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time. Please don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel to support me. Thank you again, everyone. See you in the next video.